What's going on, people, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about automation. You cannot run or hide from automation. I know I tried to. I don't know why, but I think maybe I'm a bit lazy, but I just never used to like to automate anything. But trust me, you are not going to be able to get great professional sounding mixes unless you start automating, because we use automation on the volume, on faders, we use it on plugins, effects, and trust me, creating movement in your mixes is essential. So yeah, we're just gonna dive right into it, and we're gonna get into some of the different ways you can use automation. Obviously, it's automation in general, but this is more of a Pro Tools tutorial on how you use automation on Pro Tools, but this can be applied to any DAW and should be applied to any DAW. So let's get cracking. So the first thing we're going to talk about is volume automation. So we got our track here and all vocals. So the first thing I've got, the first bit of automation I've got on this particular track is volume automation here. Now if we just play the song.
Trapped in the trap, profiled here and have no options, just how it is when you're blacker than black. 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come and go. I called up a line for the pack, he said bro on you.
As you can hear, the song gets like louder, the beat gets louder, gets more busy, so we want our vocals to match that. And as you could probably tell, you probably didn't even notice the vocal changing in volume, and that's because of it's matching the beat. Now in this particular case, we're using volume automation to make sure it doesn't get drowned out in the beat, but sometimes you can use it in certain parts to turn it up, to make it sound louder, to make it sound bigger, maybe a chorus. Also there might be certain words that you might want to turn up, like maybe, you know, the artist moved away from the mic a little bit, and your compressors aren't quite bringing them up to the same level as the rest of the vocals. But in this case, we did it on our all vocals bus, and I'm going to get into a little bit. I'm going to get into, in fact, we can talk about it now. So what I used to do when I wanted to turn up a certain word or a certain phrase, I would clip gain and I would turn it up on the clip, but this is not going to work effectively, and I'll show you why. If I turn this up on the clip gain, this is the signal before it hits your plugins, right? So if I've turned it up on the clip gain there,
Creepy crawlers come and go. I called up a line for the pack, he said bro on you roll with snow.
Can you see how it's smashing your compressor now? And it's not getting that much louder because I'm turning up before compressors. Compressors are going to bring down that signal, right? So if you're clip gaining, this is not how you clip gain. If you want the overall volume to turn up, you need to be doing it on your fader. You need to be automating your fader and not clip gaining, because all clip gaining is going to do is you're going to turn it up and you're going to go, it's not getting louder. You're going to turn it up more, and the next thing you know, you're clipping on your EQ, or you're hitting your preamps too loud. So on this track, I've done automation on my all vocals bus, and that's just because it's the last. If for example I did my automation on this channel, it's going to be although it's going to be after these plugins, it's going to be driving my plugins on the bus, if that makes sense. So you got to remember, it goes from this clip to the channel and then to the bus. So if I was to automate and turn up the volume on this track, it's gonna make it go louder into our plugins that we see here. That's a little bit complicated. I probably over-explained that a little bit, but I think the general thing you want to take away is, if you want an increase in volume, don't use clip gain, use automation on your fader. Now the second thing that we can use automation in is plugins. So in the ideal world, we're going to get perfect recordings every single time, but unfortunately that's not the case. And on this particular vocal, there were certain words, I don't know if the artist was moving closer to the mic, or I don't know what was happening, but there were certain words and phrases and sentences that were getting really muddy and boxy. So what I did is I automated this EQ here. So if I click down here, so I forgot to mention that on Pro Tools, to show the line, the automation line, you click here and you go to volume, right? But what if I want to automate a plugin? Then in this case, you got to, if you click this little box up here, you have a list of all of the controls in your plugin, right? And what you want to do is you want to find, so I wanted to automate this knob here, band 2 range. But say if I wanted to automate the master bypass, I just click on it and click add. And then what will happen is when I click on this where it says volume now, you can see the master bypass is there, and we can automate the master bypass, or in this case, I automated the band 2 range, as you can see here. So what I just did on certain words, so if we play the track, you can kind of see what it's doing.
The family business, guess that's how you get trapped in the trap. Profiled here and have no options, just how it is when you're blacker than black. 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come and go. I called up a line for the pack, he said bro only roll with snow. I know.
You see how it's moving? Now what I was trying to catch is the businesses and snow, like they're very bassy words, and on this particular take they were giving me issues. So rather than just doing a static EQ, which I did do, I wanted it to move because there were certain words that didn't need it, right? There were certain words that didn't need to have such a big cut, but on certain words like business and, you know, this, what's here? Why isn't it playing?
I know we're not talking the weather. He told me jump on the trap, bro.
I know it's just certain words that you can say that are more bassier than others, and then when you start compressing the vocals, it just gets even worse. So that's another way you can use automation. I've written notes for this video, that's why I keep looking over here. Oh yeah, another way you could use automation is for effects like reverbs and delays. Now I don't tend to do that. For example, I could click here and go to the delays. Oh, and I did do that, in fact.
Is when you're blacker than black. 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come and go.
Okay, so I see what I've done. Sorry, it's been a while since I've opened up this session. So I just wanted, when the beat was more busy, I wanted the effects to be a little bit more present. So the delays, it needs to match. I didn't want there to be delay when the beat's mellow. I wanted it to be clean. But then when the beat drops and it gets busy, I wanted the delay to be a bit louder. But generally what I do, if I want to do just like a delay throw, so for example, what I did there is I wanted the 10 toes to delay. What I would usually do, just because it gives me a little bit more control, is I would duplicate my track with the vocal on, and I would just cut out the word, and I would copy it down to a new channel, and on that new channel I'd put a delay on there, and then that just gives us a little bit more control, right?
Black 10 toes, 3
Wow, that is very bad.
Black 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the crawlers come and go. I called up a line for the black 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come and go. I called up a line for the pack, he said bro only roll with snow.
But what we can do is, because it's on a whole new channel, we can really start messing with it. We could put some distortion in it, we could put the satin on there maybe. Oops, sorry, my microphone is in the way of the keyboard. So say we wanted to put a satin on there, some saturation.
Black 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come. Black 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creep. Black 10 toes, 3 a.m. when the creepy crawlers come and go. I called up.
You know, it just gives you a little bit more control. I could put a reverb on there as well. And, you know, you might say, oh, yeah, but it takes up CPU, which is true. If you haven't got a powerful computer, this stuff can start taxing your CPU. But you can just click this little icon here that says freeze. And what it will do is it will freeze that delay in place, and it will bypass all of these plugins, and so the plugins won't be active anymore. So yeah, that's a little hot tip for you right there. The next would be, oh yeah. So the next thing that I would do, the next thing you can do, is automate for choruses. So for example, you know, you want your chorus to sound bigger, so you might put like a spreader on there. So let's say all vocals, right? We've got this micro shift on there. Now for the chorus, I might want to make this micro shift be even more spread, you know, so the chorus sounds bigger, like the vocals on the chorus sounds bigger. So we click there, mix. I've cut out the choruses. Don't ask why, I just didn't bother exporting them. But say the chorus was here, I might just want this chorus just to be a little bit bigger. So we just boost it by like a couple of percent. Nothing crazy, because we don't want it to be too noticeable. We want it to be quite subtle. And then you could do, for example, here I've boosted the effects. So all of my reverbs go to this bus here. And I've just boosted the volume on the automation for this particular section. Say maybe that's the chorus or whatever it might be. And that's another way it could make your choruses sound bigger. Another little hot tip I'm going to give you, if you've got a plugin like this, and I'm going to go into this when I next do a mastering video, I'm going to go into this a little bit more, but we've got this stereo width control here. Now we might say if we want to, now this is another thing with Pro Tools, doing automation is a little bit techie, I can't even lie. Maybe I'm missing a trick, but I know on Fruity Loops you can like just right click the thing you want to automate and add automation like that, whereas here you've got a list of every control on this big ass plugin. Like I don't know if I'm just missing a trick, and you can right click or something like that, but not that I'm aware of. So I want to find this stereo width knob in this drop down menu. Stereo width. Probably going to cut that out. It took me a while to find that. Cool. So say on my hook now, say the hook is here on the third bar. We want to click here, digital stereo width. And at the moment it's at 100%. That's basically the default. And we're just going to boost it by like 15%. Bosh. And then your hook is just going to sound bigger.
I know you be home by Christmas, nigga, and if not, then I'll play the Grinch. Cause that shit will bother me. How you get 10 for a robbery? Nothing.
Now, unfortunately, it's not in the best place, is it? Because the beat kind of dies down, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. This is a really good kind of width tool to put on your master bus, basically, because you never want to do anything too crazy. And this is very subtle, but these little changes are what can make your choruses sound bigger and more exciting than and more different to the verses, if that makes sense, sonically anyway. And yeah, that is the 3 or 4, I'm not sure how many I just did there, ways that you can use automation. Just a little recap, we did volume automation, we automated plugins, and you can automate any control on any plugins in most DAWs. And we also automated our effects. And of course, we used automation to make our choruses and hooks sound a little bit bigger and a little bit more exciting than our verses. And that's all I've got for you today. A nice little bite-sized video just to keep you tied over till my next drop. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you found it useful, drop me a like, drop me a comment, let me know what you want to see next. And of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.